Jace Lejeune from Gridiron Football here with one of the hottest programs in the state of Louisiana, and that is the Bunkie Panthers, led by one of the best young coaches around the state of Louisiana, Jimmie Hillman. Coach Hillman, always a pleasure catching up with you.
Yes, sir.
And what an incredible 2-year run you had at the school. I think like only three losses in 2 years. Something really cool about the program, and they're really building it year in and year out. But obviously the 2025 version, a lot different from the last 2 years. Dylan Compton, Gridiron Football, American quarterback going. Obviously Kyle Johnson was a big-time playmaker. But what should we expect for the 2025 version of the Panthers this season?
Well, what you should expect is a lot of the same principles. That's one thing that we talk about is, the principles in our program, the way that we want to play. You're going to continue to see all those things. You're just going to see new guys doing it. You'll see some old. We got some veteran guys that are returning. We have a good senior class that, it's got 13 in it. 10 of them have been starting since they were sophomores. So we got a good group right there that's going to be able to, help as some of these young guys kind of come along and learn early on. But they're going to be a physical, athletic group that's going to play 48 minutes. So.
Absolutely. Well, I know those are names we talked about earlier, but you got some stars coming back. One of them's actually on the cover of our magazine in Kane. We'll talk about that.
Man.
That's pretty cool. And Zion's definitely. Talk about those three guys you brought with you today for Media Day.
Yeah, well, 3 of our seniors, three of those guys that I said they've been starting since they were sophomores in high school. Zion Lee is our running back and linebacker. Really kind of transitioned to a running back for us last year. The early camp thought process was kind of a third down back to kind of go get a short yardage for us, and then by the end of the season, he kind of took over the role of the starting back, and he's going to be a guy that we're going to lean on heavily this year. Kane Milligan's a very seasoned receiver. Really kind of came alive, especially in our playoff run. Was a huge player for us in that meet game, which landed him on the cover right here. He had a huge game. So but he's a guy that understands our offense. Does a really good job in that room of teaching some of the younger guys the way that we play, things they need to look for on the field. And then Lucas Mose, first team All-State guy, is kind of our Swiss Army knife. Does a little bit of everything for us. He'll get out and cover. He'll play in the box. He'll blitz off the edge. He's a great special teams player for us. He's a good punter. He kind of does it all for us. So those 3 guys are guys that are gonna be tasked early on with when you first started playing high school football, you were kind of a guy that you just kind of had to do your role, and there was guys like Kyle and Dylan and JD that were able to be the leaders of the team, and now it's their turn to take on that leadership role.
Absolutely, they've been part of it, so they know what to expect.
That's
and
right.
They're coming up as seniors. So Coach, you mentioned Dylan. I mean, obviously, he has a great talent. He's going to play at Southern. Looking forward to what he does for the Jaguars. But talk about the offense, that side of the ball, and what's the quarterback position kind of looking like?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of competition. We've had 2 guys that have kind of gone at it since the spring. Senior Brady Wright was our backup quarterback last year. He's continued to kind of evolve in the offense and grow. And then our JV quarterback, sophomore Austin Fitzgerald, has had a really good spring as well. They've kind of battled throughout the summer. We'll get into camp and we'll make some decisions towards the end of camp. But both guys are some more gunslingers, I guess you could say, as compared to Dylan. Dylan threw the ball a lot his senior year, but his junior year he ran the ball. They're more gunslinger type guys that want to push the ball down the field and operate our offense. So but really the key for us is we've got to replace 3 offensive linemen. J.D. Smith and Julian Eves were 3-year starters. I mean, those guys played a huge role for us, and we've got to replace that up front. We've got some young guys that have done well. We've got a lot of competition. We've got probably 7 guys, I think, at this point in the summer that are fighting for those 5 slots. So, we got to be good up front. To protect whoever the quarterback is. Zion and Jatarian Gaines and some other young running backs have to do a good job of keeping us in positive situations and make the job on the quarterback easy. That's kind of what you always want to be able to do.
Well, the offense got a lot of headlines over the last 2 years, but your defense was a huge reason why y'all were in the semifinals last year. So talk about that side of the football and how that's developing right now.
Yeah, we returned 6 pieces on that side, and they really some key parts. Lucas obviously is a big key in that. Zion Lee, when he's not toting the ball on offense, will play some linebacker for us. But Luke Norman, Brady Wright, who we mentioned, he started every game for us last year, and Ron Patterson. That's probably the guy that He's real quiet. He doesn't say too much, but he's the guy that you'll see make a big impact on the back end of that defense as well as offensively for us. So we've got to be able to control the box. That's what all it comes down to for us. We're gonna play a lot of man coverage. We're gonna put pressure on the quarterbacks and look to stop the run and put the ball in the air and allow our guys to go make plays on it. So there's a lot of competition, on the team in a lot of spots, which is good. Sometimes you want to have a lot of your answers right now. By this point in the summer, but I think it speaks a lot to where our program is right now, that there's still competition. There's guys that, we have talented guys that are ones and twos right now that are still vying for those spots.
Two quick more questions. Schedule, talk about that real briefly. I know it's always really tough to play in the schedule y'all play in.
Yeah, well, look, it's going to be tough. District-wise, Gina will return a good bit. That's always going to be a big fight for us. Marshville's going to be it's always a big emotional game in Week 10, and we're excited about some of our non-district games. Central Catholic was a really good team that we played last year that we think is going to be another tough one. So, the schedule will be, we'll have 2 games at home, then we'll go 3 on the road before we get into district. So, a big 3-game road stretch before homecoming week. So there's going to be a lot to unpack there in the schedule, but we feel good about it.
And lastly, Coach, you rejuvenated the program. Like I mentioned, semifinals last year, 3 losses, 2 years is nothing to really sneeze about. But what should they be expecting? And just Bunkie fans are really excited about this program. What should they expect when they go to every game this fall?
We're not done. Mm-hmm. We're not done, and that's one thing that we've been adamant about this summer is that the feeling of, look, we went 21-3 the last 2 years. It's been a lot of fun. That was never the goal. The goal was never to be undefeated. The goal was never,
Right.
The goal was to play our brand of football every single game. So we're not finished. We're not satisfied. The senior class isn't satisfied with coming up one short from the dome. So we're going to play every game with our goals in mind of how we want to play football and let the scoreboard take care of itself.
Absolutely, Coach Hillman, always a pleasure catching up with you. Looking forward to see what Bunkie does. I'm sure Gridiron will make its rounds to see y'all a lot this year for sure.
Absolutely.
For more on the Panthers, we have a magazine coming up. So if you're a Bunkie fan, want to know more about this year's team, make sure to order our magazine. I'll be released before football season. Make sure to go to our website to order. That's gridironfootballusa.com.